Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Melvin on the Mic, and today I'm here with my friend Monica Villasenor. How are you, Monica?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. As always, I always kind of start with how I met my guest, and I've known Monica, has it been maybe 7 to 10 years or around there? I don't even know, because it was free.
At least 2012.
So 10
I
years.
got here in 2011, yeah. So
That's so crazy.
10 years at least, yeah.
We met through mutual friends, and we were trying to figure this out earlier. We were trying to figure out if we officially met through our mutual friend Dana or Tan, but I think it was initially through Dana. But I see you more often through Tan.
Yeah.
At Free Press Summerfest, it's a music festival they used to host here in Houston for, I think they did that for 6 or 7 years before it kind of finally went away, right?
Mm-hmm. On Elm Parkway.
I miss it, it was a lot of fun, but they put it in the worst spot because it floods out down there.
Yeah. And then didn't they move it over to...
They moved it to like the Astrodome parking lot or the Reliant parking lot. And I never went to when it was there because it's just like asphalt. Like,
yeah.
It's already like 100 degrees outside and you want to go stand out on black tar.
In the summertime in Houston.
3 days in a row or 2 days in a row or whatever. Yeah. I mean, essentially it's kind of like similar to ACL or what's the one in California?
Coachella,
yeah. But it was the Houston version.
Yeah.
But Monica and I have known each other for quite a while now, and in more recent years, hanging out more often through, like I said, our mutual friend Tan. But one of the things I was chatting with her about is, getting to go to a few concerts and shows, because there was a period of time when you were working at Smart Financial.
Yes, out in Sugar Land.
What would you call that venue? Is it a music venue, an entertainment venue, or...
Yes. So the venue is actually a theater.
Okay.
So, and the way they created the venue is actually really cool because you could do a small capacity show or you could do a large capacity show. So anywhere from 2,000 to 6,500 concert.
I didn't never know how much the actual count was. And that's one thing I actually really appreciated about that venue was the audio was amazing. And it's because it's just like any seating, pretty much like bleacher style or theater style, but the walls can actually move in and out. And there are sound panels, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes. And that was one of the things that everyone loved about that venue is the sound is amazing when you go in there. And when it's in full configuration and it's 6,500 and the walls are out, the audio is terrific and it's great and it still feels like a really, big concert, but still pretty intimate.
Yeah.
But then when they bring the walls in and you don't even realize that it's a 6,500 seat venue, it feels small and intimate when they bring the walls in. It doesn't feel strange or anything like that.
I think all the different ones I went to, the walls were typically... And I went there 2 or 3 times. I can't remember. I know one of them was for the comedian, John Leguizamo was there.
Yeah.
That guy that was known for performing for NASA launch like 20 or 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Gerard, something like that.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was... Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name.
I have a blog about it on my website.
It was really cool.
Yeah,
it was a really cool show.
It was a really cool one, and I think the other one was that Pink Floyd cover band, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't remember.
I don't remember the name of it. I have no clue. But all of them. So, and then one of the things I liked about the venue too is it's not just the sound, but it's also the lights. And I know the lights will vary upon the artist, but like it just everything worked really well there.
Yeah.
But
it was a lot of fun.
And then COVID happened.
I know COVID happened, unfortunately. So, like all the venues in this country, we had to close down. So the shows unfortunately had to stop, and we all sat at home and waited.
Yeah, I know, right? But it led you to a new path in your career.
It did, yeah. So I was home and, like a lot of people, trying to, make it through, but just couldn't stay home and sit at home. My dog Bruno was like, "Get out! I'm tired of looking at you."
He used to be like, "No, you don't leave for work. Don't leave for work. Go on and hang out." And then he was like, "All right, you're here too much."
That's right. He's like, "Mom, I need biscuits. You need to go work." So I had always been interested in real estate. Really enjoyed doing that, and it was really kind of the perfect time because I was at home and I could take all my classes. Then you were doing it all virtually, so that was even perfect. So was able to knock all that out really quickly. And my agent that sold me my house became really kind of a mentor to me, and started my real estate career, which was really is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I coincidentally have been in this business. I've been on the mortgage side off and on for the better part of the last 20 years. There was like 5 or 6 years in the middle there where I left the industry. But on the mortgage side, so when Monica got in on the real estate side, I was like, oh, kind of welcome to the industry. And you're closing in on 2 years, or you already hit 2 years?
I hit 2 years. It was September. The beginning of September was when I started. So yeah, I just hit my 2-year anniversary. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And Monica helped me get this place where I'm at now, where I'm living now. This lease, I signed it on, I don't remember when I signed it, but my move-in was July of last year. So it's going on 15, 16 months now here, I think, something like that. And we actually just before filming this, we were in the studio doing headshots, right?
Yes.
Make your business cards and work on your email signatures and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So making a switch from your previous industry to real estate, I'm sure there was a big learning curve, and it's a lot of time management and kind of trying to keep yourself on track as opposed to going into your previous employer where you kind of had a set schedule probably day to day. So how was that transition for you, and how's that worked out for you basically?
I mean, it's definitely been a transition, and it's as a real estate agent, you are an independent contractor, so you're your own boss, which is very different for me. So, managing my time, but really also giving myself personal time is really, I think it's interesting that when you go to a job, it's, natural, you go home and you have your time off. But when you are an independent contractor, it's hard to give yourself that time off because you feel like especially when you're starting a business, you really want to, help as many people as you can, but you also have to remember to give yourself some time off. And my broker was actually really helpful, and she even told me that. She's like, Monica, you can't burn yourself out. You need to make sure you're taking care of yourself. And so that was really important. But it was very different. For sure. And
on the real estate side, one thing that, it's different from what I was doing with mortgages, for me, for the most part, when I was actually still doing loans, I'm on the marketing side now, but it was kind of like more or less a 9-to-5 job. You might occasionally take some calls in the evening here and there, and that was it. But with an agent, you're on day and night. You're taking people to see houses on the weekends, and so you're not going to stick on that strict, just standardized 9-to-5 job.
Right.
It makes me think of one of my favorite memes is, and this is somewhat applies to you, but not completely. It's more on the entrepreneurial side, but like you said, you're an independent contractor, right? I left my 9-to-5 so I could work for myself 24/7.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and it's like, but if you find the right balance, you can find happiness in that and make your own schedule. And that's one thing I miss about some of the things that I do is, I am attached to going into the office Monday through Friday, 9-to-5, and I never stop, like I work 24/7. I was joking with you earlier. I was like, I can't remember if I mentioned this to you, but most people say, oh, I went home from work and I relaxed. For me today, I came home from work. We did a mini photo shoot. Now we're filming a podcast. And after this, we'll be filming 2 reaction videos.
You're like, I don't stop.
Yeah. And then I'm sure after you leave, I'll start editing everything.
Yeah. You're like from one work to the next, to the next. But yeah.
But you got to have that drive to be successful, right?
It is. And I do enjoy it. So it is fun. I do enjoy doing it.
When you do what you love, it's not work.
Right. Exactly.
It has work elements to it, but it's not the same thing as just going in and doing the grind for somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It is.
So what are some of your favorite things with real estate? Like, or let me think of this way to phrase this. do you treat, I'm sure every one of them is different. So for me, when I was doing loans, the approach was like, all right, let me talk to them for a few minutes, figure out the scenario of like where they are in their lives, what they're trying to accomplish, how long are they going to live in this house, how much can they afford? And then you kind of start saying, okay, these are the types of loan programs that you might want to consider, because if you're not going to live there for 30 years, then maybe, consider some of these shorter term loans. But for you, it's kind of like, all right, are you all going to start having kids? Are you just single? What size house are you looking at? What area of town? So like, have you started to kind of formulate like your approach on how you do that?
Oh, absolutely. And everyone is different. And similar to kind of what you were saying is, a lot of times when I meet people, I have to figure out, what are their goals? Are they going to be here, several years? Are they coming through Houston, temporarily?
Like a job relocation or something.
Right. Or like, coming here for their medical residency and then maybe possibly going somewhere else, kind of trying to determine, what's going to fit them best, or, just kind of, what's appropriate for them, what's their lifestyle, where do they want to live.
And the checklist on a house is a lot different from what I'm doing, because for me it's a financial decision, right? So you only have so many options, but for you, then you have to start weighing, okay, like, yeah, you like these 5 different houses, but there's pros and cons of each house, like kind of starting to determine a checklist of like, what are the features that you absolutely have to have,
sure,
and which ones are optional.
Yeah.
And I know that could probably be challenging at times.
Yeah.
And you also don't want to try to encourage them to buy something that they may not be happy with in the long run. So
for sure. To me, I want all my clients to be happy. I want them to not regret the home they purchase. So that's really the number one priority. I want them to really enjoy the home that they're in and be happy there. So at the end of the day, that's really the number one goal.
Yeah. Even when you came here with me to see this place, I remember when we were on the first floor and I hadn't even come upstairs yet. And I was like, I think I'm ready to put it in contract. You're like, you didn't finish looking at it yet. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, but yeah, the pictures, they match up to what it actually looked like. So I'm pretty sure that the rest of it's going to look like what I'm expecting. And of course I didn't like start drawing up papers right away, but I kind of already had my mind made up, like, this is what I was expecting.
It felt right.
Yeah. But like the whole time when Monica was showing me, I kind of kept looking back to her for some expression here and there. And she had poker face the whole time. And so I asked her later about it and she's like, yeah, because I didn't want to influence you to make a decision. I wanted you to make the decision, but I actually really appreciate that, It's like, some agents, they just want to close a deal.
Well, and it's, it's hard too, because sometimes I get excited about places, or I'll show clients, like 2 or 3 homes, and there's one that I'm like, oh my gosh, it's this house. This is the one you have to get. In my head, I'm thinking that. I'm not saying that to them, but in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the one they're going to pick. And then they pick a totally different one, or they decide on something totally different. And it's their decision, they're the ones that are going to live in it. So I have to also, be mindful of that.
Yeah.
It's what feels right to them. It's what's right for their family or for that individual or for whoever's going to be there. So I have to be careful, to keep that in mind. So I do try to stay. You
want to be supportive, but you don't want to push them in a direction to make a decision.
Exactly.
I used to watch, I haven't watched it in a couple of years, but I used to watch House Hunters a lot. And I always thought what you just said was very interesting, because like they had all their pros and cons, and you kind of know a mental checklist of what you think they're really going to do. And then you see how they react to the different properties as they show all 3 of them. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, they're going to get house number 2. And then they're like, no, we want number 1. And I'm like, that's the worst one out of all of them. Like, how would you come to this decision? What's going on here? So I could totally see what you're saying though. Like in your mind, you think you've got it figured out.
And sometimes it could be something that you don't like. They'll tell you, okay, this and this and this is really important to us, and so you narrow it down to the few couple houses, and then there might be something like it's close to this, or there's something, this one little thing, that kind of pushes them over the edge that you don't even realize. Or they didn't even realize was important to them, until they got there. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we didn't realize we wanted that, but now that we saw it, we want it, So, so just.
And then schools too, if they've got kids.
For sure. Yeah.
So, we went this week into an interesting little art event here in Houston.
Yeah.
Houston did what they called an open air art event. And
I was going to ask you, what was it called? I don't even.
It was open air something. I don't know. Open air Houston or something like that. And I live like right in the middle of downtown. And there was basically, they put up 9, well, they say they put up 9 new murals. I think we only ended up locating about 4 of them.
We saw a lot of murals, though.
Well, that's because I took you to a bunch of extra ones that are already there.
They're new. Yeah.
New to you. Yeah. But it was pretty cool. And so like the reason I'm bringing this up is some of the content I'm going to start working on my YouTube channel here soon is kind of like highlighting and showing some of the neat places in Houston. And one of those things on my list is actually kind of highlighting a lot of the murals and graffiti around town. So it was kind of cool that we kind of got a sneak peek of all that this weekend.
Yeah.
But what are some, you're originally from Austin, and you've been here about 10 years now. So do you have some favorite things or some favorite spots in Houston that you've discovered that since being here? Because I know, like, for me, I love Austin, and I love the diversity of, like, being able to go to the lake, and that's what we don't have here. But what are some of your cool spots or favorite spots?
Oh my gosh, there's a lot. I really love Houston, actually. So I moved here from Austin. I lived in Austin for 15 years. But before that, my family, we moved around a lot. So when people ask me, where are you from? I say Houston. I claim Houston as the place I chose to be.
And you've been here 10 years now, so
yes,
you can.
And before that, when I was younger, we lived in the Woodlands when it was actually just woods. When there was literally nothing up there, like in the 80s.
The Woodlands Pavilion was just getting started.
Yes, we were there before the Woodlands Pavilion. We were there before the mall. But anyways, but at that time, Houston was so far, because we were out.
Anything that far, like Houston, it's weird how the city grows, right?
Yeah. So, but having now moved to actually live in Houston, I was so surprised how much I loved it. And because a lot of times when I was moving here from Austin, you hear so much about Austin and how wonderful it is, and it is wonderful, but I don't think people realize how great Houston is too, because there's so much to do.
I think we're super underrated. I don't think, and that's kind of like, actually, it's funny. That's why I want to do some of these videos, is because I think we get overlooked a lot of the times. Like, we have more languages spoken in Houston than anywhere in the entire world. Yeah. We've been dubbed the fattest city in the country, not because of people actually being obese, but because we have more restaurants. I can't remember if it's per square block or square mile. I think it's per square mile.
And such diverse restaurants.
Yes.
I think you can get cuisine from all over the world, and it's delicious.
Good. It's done right.
Yes.
It's not like half-ass restaurants. I mean, it's like really, really good. We have a lot of really well-known chefs all throughout this city. And actually, speaking on that, you're vegan, correct?
I am vegan. Yes.
And we have a lot of options for that here.
Yes. Yeah. Pretty much anywhere, most restaurants you go to in Houston, if you tell them, there's always options. So yeah.
But there's a lot of them that are specifically dedicated to being vegan, correct?
Yes. Yeah. A lot of all vegan restaurants for sure. Yeah.
You got options.
I just ate at Mantra, which was really good. Okay. In Midtown. I hadn't been there. That was my first time. Went on Saturday.
We went to a sports bar last week, and you were able to get something at a sports bar.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of options for sure. But yeah, no, I love Houston. I love, we have great parks. I loved running on the bayou. That was a big thing when I moved here. I wanted to live close to the bayou. So I would run on there. And of course, Memorial Park, and they're redoing it. Looks really good.
I still haven't gone to see the
land bridge.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. Like, I wish I would have seen it before the road was open, because it would have been cool to like go through it. But I think I was out of town or had something going on that weekend, and I didn't get to make it out there.
I would think there's probably going to be events where they would
shut it down. Probably.
Yeah, because it's just such a cool feature now. I think it'll be interesting to see too once the actual landscaping grows over
it starts to fill in. So for those of you listening and not, maybe you're just listening and not watching, Memorial Drive, it's Memorial Drive, right?
Yes.
So Memorial Drive cuts straight through Memorial Park, which is a big park here in the Houston area. Running, tennis courts, basketball courts, lots of outdoor activities. And they put these gigantic, I think they're concrete tunnels, basically, that were kind of prefabbed, and then they put them over the road. They made new roads as well, and then they built up all the ground around it and grass and all that. So it's like she was calling it a land bridge. So essentially, instead of having to cross the street, now you go over the street, but you're on like grass and terrain. So
yeah, and I believe they're putting the like wildflowers and natural plants because they're trying to keep a lot of the natural animals and what is it called? Like the plants.
The native plants and
yes.
native animals. Yeah.
Yes.
And because that area is also known for wild bluebonnets, so that would be kind of cool if those start to fill in there.
Because the park was split by memorial.
Yeah.
So you'd have a lot of people going across, so it's not really ideal.
The bridge itself, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember it was like several acres. I don't remember if it was like 20 acres or 50 acres or something, but it was like way more than I realized. So it's a big piece of property, big piece of land bridge. I still need to go out there and see it.
It's huge.
The last time I was out there, it's probably like 8 to 10 months ago, maybe even a year ago. It was when I was actually, I'm lying. It was more than a year ago because it was when I was still living with Tan.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You need to go out there.
Yeah. And that, because I went and saw all the new water features that they had put at Memorial.
It looks so good.
And so that was the last time I was out there. And
they've done a lot. You need to go. It's very cool.
I was out there for I can't remember if it was, I think it was a Hinge date.
Oh.
And it was just an awkward one. I'll just be nice in case he happens to stumble on this video. It was one of those that like, the moment we just started even talking and stuff, I was like, yeah, how can I get out of this? And leave,
no.
right? And
did you do like that's when you pick a short route. Was it a walking date?
Yeah, no, I was polite as could be. And it was still kind of like somewhat COVID-ish. Like people were beginning to not wear their masks, but it wasn't actually
at the park. Were you wearing a mask?
Exactly. And she insisted on keeping hers on.
Oh.
And I was like, we're outside and like I'm not like standing like on top of you. You know what I mean? Like it was just kind of strange. And then I couldn't really even see her face. It's like I saw her pictures on the dating app, but yeah, it was just strange. And so what I thought was funny but also awesome is like before I even got home, she had already messaged me and she's like, it was nice meeting you, but this definitely isn't going to be a romantic match for me. I was like, score. I didn't even have to do it.
I'm so sorry to hear that, but best of luck to you.
Well, what was funny is like, I saw it when I was at a stoplight.
Yeah.
And I was going to respond when I got home. Like, oh yeah, it was nice meeting you too. Wish you best, whatever, right? Just be polite. But she had already unfriended me before that.
Oh.
I guess she saw that I read it.
Yeah.
And then she's like, he saw it later. And I was like, oh, well, later,
Yeah.
But it was just one of those, there was like no.
But mutual, y'all were both like, okay.
Yeah, it was just awkward conversation. Just everything I was off about it. I was like, how is this even the same person I was messaging back and forth with on the app?
Yeah.
That's the thing about dating apps, man. They're so strange.
I know. That's why you just have. To me, I'd rather just meet somebody in person.
I would too. I just feel like I go out less than I used to.
Yeah.
And then our groups of friends over the years have merged so much already that I don't meet new people as often as I used to. And then when I do, a lot of people are already married and got kids and all that stuff. So like when I was in my 20s and early 30s, it was a different story. It's like, yeah, you're meeting new people like every other week or two, right? But now it's like get together with a group of friends, even if there's 20 or 30 people there, it's like I know every single person here, It's like, where are the new people? Somebody bring some random people.
Need some new blood.
Yeah, I'll bring some random people for y'all, and y'all bring some random people for me. But so I prefer to meet through friends or in person, but it's just fewer and far between these days.
Yeah. Well, it's different now.
I think I've pretty much just settled with I'm probably going to be single forever, and if that's how it is, whatever. But
hey, as long as you're having fun.
Exactly. I think also, too, I've gotten so used to being single that, like, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to get in a relationship again, and I wouldn't, compromise on certain things,
Yeah.
But I've also just gotten so used to, like,
you're comfortable being able
I
to
can
do what you want to
do whatever I want when I
Yeah.
want. I don't have to live by anybody else's schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to get dragged to events that I don't want to go to. Not that these are bad things. You know,
but yeah.
But it's just like, you know.
Yeah, there's pluses and minuses to both sides, right?
And then the holidays come and you're just like sad and sappy and sitting there like watching like Christmas movies that are all like on Hallmark. I'm not nerd guy. Like, so I October, I watch nothing but horror movies, like, and tons of them.
Do you watch sappy Christmas movies?
Sling TV has 3 Hallmark channels, and yeah,
Oh my God,
I
you
watch
watch
all
Hallmark?
those Christmas
Oh my
movies.
God, no, you don't.
I do. I
It's
do.
so bad.
It's hilarious because like there's this girl that I've been friends with for like years and years and years, but we haven't seen each other in person in probably like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And she made a post on Facebook like 2 Christmases ago, and she was like, hey, I'm trying to find out how I can watch like the Hallmark channels because my cable doesn't have it and blah, blah, blah. And so I like messaged her. I didn't put it on the comment on Facebook. I was like, hey, you want my Sling passwords?
Oh my-
I was like, there's 3 Hallmarks on my Sling, and then in December, it's all Christmas. And she's like, yes. And so like every year, it pops up on memories. And so I'm always like, hey, do you still have my youth? And she's like, yes, I'm never going to lose it. I can watch all my Christmas movies. I'm like, I watch all those with the chick from Full House and like all these cheesy scripted, like perfect, never gonna happen love story, Christmas romance movies. And yeah.
Do you only watch the Hallmark channel during Christmas?
No, because like I like all like your traditional stuff too. Like, and sometimes some people consider Christmas movies or don't consider it, but like I watch Die Hard
Yeah.
because that's Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Home Alone is always at Christmas, right?
Yeah.
The Grinch and even just like all the Charlie Brown Peanuts like type stuff. And there's a lot of other Christmas movies, Christmas with the Cranks. And then I do throw my horror in there because I do the Krampus or whatever it's called, which is like I think it's like the German evil Santa myth creature or whatever. And
I don't know what that is.
yeah, and then there's a movie called Black Christmas, which is like a horror movie, but based around Christmas. So yeah, so I do mix a little bit of my horror in with my my Christmas. I don't know how we ended up in this conversation.
No,
Because I was talking about
that's
being in relationships and yeah. So
Things I would have never expected
everybody's gonna make fun of me now.
in the Hallmark.
Yep. I watch all the
Christmas
Hallmark Christmas movies. They're so cheesy too.
I know. That's why I'm kind of surprised, but okay.
There's a few of them, right? That
I used
like
to have a roommate I would make fun of for watching Hallmark.
I make fun of myself for it. I'm like, why am I watching these?
Did you
But
watch the Gilmore Girls?
I've never seen that.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
And what's weird about that too is like I can't watch typical sitcoms. Like and if you like it, don't hate me, but I can't stand the show Friends. And a lot of the shows that are similar to that, I just can't do them. Like I like The Office, but a lot of the sitcoms are just too corny for me. I don't really know how to explain it.
I used to love Friends.
Yeah, it's like I know a lot of people probably disagree with me on that one, but it's just I just can't get into it, and I've never really like I've seen probably over the years in passing or at friends' places or whatever, probably at least a good 10 to 20 episodes, and I'm still just like, yeah, I just don't like this.
See, but when it was airing, I really liked it. But I don't know that I would sit there and watch it now.
Yeah.
You know, like when it would come out one episode.
Okay, you
week,
wouldn't
right?
binge it.
Yeah, I don't know that I would ever binge it.
I consume a lot of television or movies and media. And a lot of it's because it's when I'm sitting around editing or if I'm working on a website or whatever I'm doing, or like when I'm doing my puzzles, like doing those time lapses, I'm typically watching movies or binge watching shows.
Yeah.
But the pace that I watch stuff these days, sometimes I can't remember from like one week to the next, like what I just watched the previous week. Cause like,
You're not really paying attention.
no, I am, but it's just because I watch too much too closely together that I can't like remember all the facts and the details.
Yeah.
And so I prefer like if I'm going to watch a show, I'd rather binge it because I'd rather have all the details like top of mind versus trying to remember something from one week to the next and then like a whole season later. So like when I was keeping up with The Walking Dead, which I stopped watching about 2 seasons ago just because I just kind of missed an episode or two and I couldn't remember where I left off. But like once I kind of figure out relatively where I left off, I'll probably go watch the previous season or half of the previous season just because even the little recap that they do beginning of every season is not going to be enough for me to remember like some of the details you need to know moving forward.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, I watch a lot of movies, a lot of YouTube, a lot of TV shows. And nowadays I don't rewatch as much stuff. Man, I rewatched the other day. Oh my God. So talking about things that don't age well.
Yeah.
I rewatched Clueless because I do all the puzzles.
Uh-huh.
And one of the brands I bought are these Blockbuster puzzles, and they're posters of movies and TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a Clueless poster.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm going to go ahead and watch the movie Clueless while I do the Clueless poster.
Okay.
It was so painful to watch. It was so painful to watch. I was like, did we really like this back then?
Oh my gosh.
The lingo and just the way they talk. And it was a funny movie and it's a cute movie or whatever, but it was just like, it was cringy. It was very cringy. And like, it's probably been a good 10 years, but about 10 years ago, I rewatched.
Who was
that was
Alicia Silverstone?
Alicia Silverstone, the dude that was in the doctor sitcom.
Doogie Howser?
No, the black guy with the the braces. He's funny. He was in Scrubs.
Oh yeah.
And then the stepbrother guy was, oh my God, not Mark Ruffalo, but like one of those dudes.
Seen that movie in forever.
Yeah, so it was kind of funny watching it back.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize like how overly whiny she was in that movie because it was her character to do it, right?
Yeah.
But I was just like, wow, this movie just did. It's like,
Yeah.
if I was a teenager and I watched that right now, I'd be like, y'all liked this?
I don't know. What is that going to say about us?
Yeah. I also watched, like I was saying, like about 10 years ago, I watched Friday for the first time in like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
That movie just like when I remember in high school thinking that was like the funniest movie ever. And it was just like all these good lines. And to this day, I still
I don't
quote.
think I ever saw that.
Oh,
Friday.
so there's a lot of lines in that movie that were comical lines that to this day, I'll still say them, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where the dad goes in the restroom and he comes out and he's like, don't nobody go in there for about 45 minutes, right? Because he stunk it up, right? And it's just like there's all these little lines like that from that movie that you quote, but the movie itself, like watching it back now, I'm just like, oh man, this is like, and that was 10 years ago, so I don't even know what it'd be like if I tried to watch it right now.
Yeah.
Some of them just don't age well whatsoever. But
Yeah.
well, kind of went into a completely side direction here. I guess we can probably wrap it up here unless there's anything else you wanted to chit chat about.
Let's watch some videos.
So after finishing up this, we're going to get into some Harry Mack reaction videos. So if you guys, I always wonder, what content my viewers are watching. So if you are watching this podcast, or if you're listening to it on the podcast networks that are not, I'm not on the networks yet, but I will be eventually. What other content on my YouTube channel do you guys check out? I'm just curious to know. Do y'all watch any of the puzzles, or do y'all watch the reaction videos, or did you get here because of a reaction video? Let us know. If you are in the Houston area, moving to the Houston area, Texas, anything like that, and you potentially need a real estate agent, I'm going to put Monica's info in the video description below. You can, your social media and what have you. And if you have
or even if you have any questions.
Yeah.
Questions or curious about real estate or anything.
Yeah. So y'all be able to reach out to her that way. Thank you, Monica, for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm glad you were able to come out and do this with me. If you guys are new to my channel, please subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Comment below and tell us if you are a Houstonian. What are some of your favorite spots in Houston? Where would you like to go and hang out? If you're not from Houston and you ever have an interest in visiting here, is there some places that caught your attention that make you want to come visit Houston? And yeah, we'll wrap it up here. We'll see you guys in the next video and the next podcast. Later.
Bye.